Marmalade?
Paddington 2 is my favorite movie of all time. And no one ever believes me when I say that. They always think I'm joking or that I'm only including like children's movies. But I can promise you right now, when I say that, I mean it. Paddington is my favorite.
He's the best. I love it.
And so today, in this first of my recommendation videos that I'm just want to be putting out, I want to take a few minutes to explain why I think everybody should watch this movie. And if I can convince just one person, if just a single soul can be persuaded to watch Paddington 2 who hadn't seen it before, this video will be worth it. And the world will be a better place. So let's talk about Paddington 2 and why it gets my ultimate seal of approval.
Ow.
I just need to throw a spoiler warning out there. I'm not going to spoil the whole movie or anything, but I do want to be able to speak freely. And so just know right now, go see this. That's what, at the end of this video, I want you to know, is that I think it's great. Go see it after you've watched it. If you really care about spoilers that much, I'm not gonna ruin anything. Come back, please. Like this video. Let me know what you thought. Like any good movie, Paddington is not great because of just one single thing. It is made up of a bunch of little parts that work together well. And so let's just start with that biggest, most important part, our protagonist, our main character, Paddington. He's just great. Everything about Paddington is great. He's kind and compassionate and cute. He's got a great look, right? With that blue jacket and the red hat. And my absolute most favorite thing about Paddington is the fact that whoever he is around, he makes better, right? It's what I want my life to be. I want to be Paddington. When I was a kid, I wanted to grow up to be Batman, right? But now, as an adult, I want to grow up to be Paddington because he's actually bringing the kind of change into the world that I would hope I personally would be able to do. Every time he interacts with somebody, he's making their lives, better. He's helping other people to see the world in a better way. And he could be seen as naive, right? Because he's coming from the darkest parts of the jungle, right? And he comes into this new world, even more so in the first movie. But in the second one, where he kind of understands how things work, but he still is really new to everything and, just trying to figure different things out. But just because Paddington is, a bit naive doesn't mean that he just lets people walk all over him. He will stand up for what is right and fight to let the truth be known and to make sure that people don't treat the people that he cares about poorly or talk poorly about them either.
It's called a hard stare. Aunt Lucy taught me to do them when people had forgotten their manners.
Paddington is also extremely loyal and really cares about his family, both his adopted family and then I guess even his earlier adopted family with his Aunt Lucy, and is completely driven by trying to let her know how much he cares about her. And that's really his motivation for this whole movie. I don't know, it's really kind of hard to put into words why I enjoy the character of Paddington as much as I do. But I think that it really does boil down to seeing a character who is pleasant. There are not enough pleasant, sincere movies, and Paddington 2 is one of those, and it is driven by this character. But like I mentioned before, a movie is not only made up of one part. There's a lot of things and a lot of characters in this movie who are, I think, also very good, right? There's the supporting characters when it comes to the family that he stays with, the Browns. You have Mr. Brown, who I really identify with in this movie because he's dealing with getting old, and not just getting old, but having people think that he's older than he really is.
I think you're in great shape for a man your age, Mr. Brown.
Ah, thank you, Paddington.
Hang on, how old do you think I am?
Oh, about 80?
Which is a problem that I have had to deal with even on this very YouTube channel, with people not believing that I am only 32 years old. But I promise you, I really am. And Mr. Brown is kind of set in his ways and was the last member of the Brown family to really warm up to Paddington in the first movie. But he's really pushed into a lot of things by his wife, Mrs. Brown, who is a character that I enjoy because I see a lot of like my own wife in her. Because my wife has also gotten me into situations that I wouldn't normally have been in, but ultimately have helped to make me a better person in the same way that Mr. Brown has been changed in good ways by, getting to know Paddington. But she is a character in her own right who is also, driven to go out and to try to clear Paddington's name, which is a big part of the story, which we'll get into in a second. Their two children, Judy and Jonathan, are great when it comes to just those people who want to have Paddington be a part of their family, and but also the fact that in this sequel they are growing too, right? That's something that it's good to see in a sequel, right? Where characters are actually moving and changing and having different problems than the ones you saw them get over in the first one, which is something that this movie does a lot. And you might ask, do I need to watch Paddington 1 before I see Paddington 2? And my answer to that is always, it would enhance the experience, but it's in no way required. You'll understand everything that's going on. It's not like there's heavy lore or anything. And then the last member of their family is their housekeeper, Mrs. Bird, who is great because of just how crass she is. Like if you're watching a kid's movie, you might not think that you're going to see somebody who's going to drink a security guard under the table, but that's something Mrs. Bird does, right, in the first Paddington. And she's just a lot of fun, but again, super caring and just loving for this little bear who needed a home, right? But Paddington's world isn't just these characters, right, and the things that they're going through, but he lives in a neighborhood, and it's the whole neighborhood is being influenced by Paddington. In the first movie, it's really just the Browns, but you start to see how the whole world of Paddington, his whole world, is being influenced by him, right? Like there's the shut-in neighbor who Paddington kind of helps reawaken him coming out into the world. Or there's the guy who works on the garbage truck who's taking a test to become like a taxi driver, and Paddington is helping him study for that. And all of these things that Paddington is helping these people with are just driven by him genuinely caring for them and wanting to help them. Not because he's getting anything out of it, right? And so you might start thinking like, well, this could maybe be a little insufferable, right? Because if all of these people like Paddington, I might dislike Paddington because, sometimes that happens. But the movie has that genius stroke of having Peter Capaldi in the role of Mr. Curry, who is a character who just irrationally hates Paddington, right? It's not just the villain who is against Paddington, but there's just a character in the movie who does not like him. And because of him voicing his distrust for Paddington, even though there's nothing that has happened that would lead you to think that Paddington is bad at all, you are reminded how good he is, and so you're able to be like, well, this guy's an idiot. Of course, Paddington's great, and so it kind of sidesteps that potential problem. And then the last good supporting character that I want to mention is Knuckles McGinty, who is the cook at the jail or the prison that Paddington gets sent to, and I'll explain that in a second. But this super hardened criminal who really has disdain for Paddington when he first meets him, but seeing how he comes to come around to the right opinion, right, and that knowing Paddington is good, and knowing that having Paddington in your life is beneficial for you as a person. And he's just played fantastically by Brendan Gleeson. And it really just can't be stated how good the cast is all around. It is kind of a who's who when it comes to British people, right? British actors. I don't know, at least ones that I've seen in movies, right? Lots of Harry Potter crossover. You get some Doctor Who in there. You got some Downton Abbey. Everybody's covered. And all these characters are great, but probably the one that comes and steals the show is Hugh Grant as Phoenix Buchanan, the villain of the movie, a washed-up actor who is trying to, get rich. And his character works very well in this movie because he is both written and performed in a way where he fits this movie perfectly, right? He is a bad guy in a children's movie, so he's never too scary or anything, but at the same time, he's still threatening. There are still times where you're like, oh, maybe Paddington could die, right? Like, that's always a possibility. I mean, like, the main thing that happens in this movie is he sends Paddington off to prison, and this is like real prison, not like, I mean, it becomes a fun prison, but it starts off as like a real prison. And I think it really helps with Phoenix Buchanan also in that, like, he has a clear motivation that you can, identify with as well. Like, it's not just money. It's him trying to, like, regain this position that he has had before, to be, like, respected again. And, that's something that, I feel like we can all identify with, right? Wanting to get back something that we've had before that was important to us. And all these characters come together in this great story that is about caring about other people and not giving up on each other, and the fact that we're supposed to stick together as a family, but also with our friends that we make along the way, and to try our best and expect more out of each other and out of ourselves than maybe we would have in the past. Just a quick breakdown of what happens in the movie is Paddington decides he wants to get a birthday present for his Aunt Lucy, as her 100th birthday is coming up. He sets his eyes on this pop-up book, which also just happens to be a treasure map to this big fortune that Phoenix Buchanan is trying to get his hands on. And so there's a struggle over that, and a misunderstanding lands Paddington in jail because the authorities think that he has stolen this book. And then it's just like, how is he going to get out of that? How are the Browns going to prove that Paddington is innocent? And that is where the movie kind of goes in some really fun directions. Now, this movie is a kids movie, meaning that you can completely watch it with kids and it's made for them, but that doesn't mean that it is like a dumb movie, right? It's not written in a way that only kids will enjoy it. This movie has a lot of setups and payoffs that are actually like really funny or are satisfying character beats, and those are the kind of things I don't really want to spoil too much for you, but I just can't stress enough that I just think this movie is very clever, and I think that it is got enough heart where it's sappy enough, right? By the end of it, I mean, I cry at the end of this movie every time, but I cry at the end of a lot of movies. I got a whole video about crying at the movies, and in fact, I mention this movie in that video, but I think it earns it, right? I don't think that it's like really cheap in how it gets there, and I think that it will get a lot of people emotionally, and you might not cry, but I think that it's got a very satisfying ending. I think that the big reason I like Paddington as much as I do is because, like, I'm going to say it, like most art, I'm not going to call Paddington to art right here, it challenges us, right? It challenges us to, specifically in this movie, to be kind and to do better. And in the world today, I think that that's what we need more than anything, right? And in a world where superhero movies get more dark and more violent, like, I'm less wanting to be that or idolize that, right? Instead, I want to be somebody who looks at the world and says, how can I make it better? And I can make it better by being kind. And that's what I hope we can all get out of Paddington. And so that's what I hope that when you watch it, you can get that lesson, and maybe it can inspire you to live out those words from Aunt Lucy.
Aunt Lucy said if we're kind and polite, the world will be right.
And so that's going to conclude my thoughts on Paddington 2. If you enjoy this movie, please let me know. If you've seen it before, or if you watch it because of this, please let me know. Let me know it was worth it. All right, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 250 before the end of the year, and we can't do that unless you guys hit that subscribe button. So go ahead and like this video as well, and leave a comment. Talk to you later. Bye.